Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about the strongest trinkets currently in Shadowlands that offer the highest amount of damage for your class. I'll be listing the current top 5 best trinkets that you should be aiming for before the raid comes out. The order is slightly different for each class, but these trinkets are easily all interchangeably the best trinkets that you can get right now. Number 1 on this list is absolutely nuts, and you'll want to stay around to find out what that trinket is. Just a side note, these numbers obviously vary from class to class, with some benefiting even more and some classes benefiting even less. Just a side note. Now let's get right into it, starting with the bottom of the list at number 5, which is the indefinitely divisible ooze trinket, which is for agility and intellect users with a drop chance of 6.11%. This trinket summons a little minion by your side that will go up and hit your target with quite a high proc chance. You can expect a 4.8% DPS increase with the heroic version and a 5.32% increase in the Mythic Zero version. This item can be found from the last boss in Plagueful and definitely won't disappoint if you happen to achieve this item. Now onto the next trinket and our number 4 on this list, which is the blood splattered scale, which also comes with some insane survivability with it. This item is for agility and strength users, and this trinket does quite a decent amount of damage, but requires more enemies to get the full use out of it. In a Mythic Keystone situation with big mob pulls, this trinket is probably one of the strongest in AoE situations, so I can see this trinket being a hot choice for those players. Though, in a single target situation with a 2-minute cooldown, it won't be the strongest trinket against bosses, but the blood barrier that comes with this thing makes it incredibly strong and should not be passed up on. This trinket will give you about 4.76% for the heroic version and 5.14% damage increase for the Mythic Zero version. But that number does increase a little bit higher in AoE situations. This item can be found from Hakkar, the Soul Flayer from the dungeon De Other Side, with a 4% drop chance. Now we're going into the big boy top 3 trinkets, starting with the strength users and number 3 being the Spare Meat Hook. This trinket is the second highest damaging Mythic Zero trinket for the strength users. Though it scales to be their best dungeon trinket once you start hitting level 15 mythic keys, but because we're talking about the strongest trinkets you can obtain now, it's currently the second best trinket for strength users, so you're going to want this one. And the trinket that's currently ranked number 1 in this list. This item bleeds for X amount of damage for 10 seconds and does over about 5k damage every single cast if it hits its full duration. This item is incredibly strong for single target damage and is going to be what all you strength users are going to want. Well, that is for those of you who want them big DPS numbers on those boss fights. This trinket will boost your DPS by about 5.43% for the heroic version and 5.87% for the mythic version. This trinket has a much higher drop chance than the last two, with it being at 14% drop chance from the boss Surgeon Stitchflesh from the dungeon The Necrotic Wake. For number 2 on this list, I'm just going to give you a double whammy for you intellect users, because your best in slot trinket varies drastically based on your class, unlike the strength and agility users, where their best item is the same regardless of the class for the most part. This tie for second place is going to be the Satchel of Misbegotten Minions for Affliction Warlocks, Demonology Warlocks, Frost Mages, and Elemental Shamans. The second item is called the Ethereal Ordnance for every other intellect user. Starting with the Satchel of Misbegotten Minions, which has quite a high proc chance and is somehow beating most single target trinkets in single target combat as well. When a trinket that's designed to be stronger in AoE situation is still somehow stronger in single target damage as well, then you know you have a strong trinket in your hands. This item is only second to the first place trinket on this list. The Ethereal Ordnance is even more superior, but it just works better for the rest of the intellect users and works in both AoE situations and single target, because the 5 strikes can also hit the same target for additional damage. Not only does it cause a lot of damage, it also gives you increased intellect after the damage is dealt. This trinket has it all. Both of these trinkets are bound to make the other classes a little jealous, with the Satchel of Misbegotten Minions giving about a 5.88% damage increase from heroics, and 6.4% damage increase for the Mythic Zero version. This item can also be found from the same last boss as the strength users, which is from the Surgeon Stitchflesh from the Necrotic Wake with a drop chance of 10%. Ethereal Ordnance gives about a 6% damage increase from the heroic version and 6.74% damage increase from the Mythic Zero version. This trinket can be found from the boss Orifrion from the dungeon Spires of Ascension. Now that we got all the inferior trinkets out of the way, I'm just kidding. The number 1 trinket is just that much better than the rest of the cast, and the craziest thing about this thing is that it works for all classes. Yep, intellect, agility, and strength users can all use this thing, and at first, everyone thought this thing was going to be a meme trinket, but it has proven to be the strongest choice for basically Every DPS user. Okay. Enough with hyping it up. But the name of this beast is called the inscrutable quantum device, with the best description for this thing. It has 6 different uses which are based on the situation you're in and when you press the ability. The main use we want is when none of the criteria is met. Then we're given around 500 or so of one of your 2 highest secondary stats or the execute below 20%. You'll most likely want to pop this trinket at the start of a boss fight for the first buff, and then the second or third use we want to aim for the execute version. The execute hits around 10k with the Mythic 0 version or around 8.5k for the Rogue version, and this execute can crit. So if you happen to get a crit with the execute version, this thing will hit like a truck. This thing has it all, and is currently the best trinket for basically every class at the current moment. The item will give you about a 7.15% DPS boost for the Rogue version, or a 8.13% for the Mythic 0 version. This incredible trinket can be found from the boss called Dealer Zyexia, or however you spell that damn name, from the dungeon De Other Side. Now that you know what are currently the strongest trinkets available, go out there and farm your best in slot, preferably with others who have the same primary stat or armor class. I hope you all enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!